The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Friday night. And tonight I've got some, well, this is the Existential Crisis Hotline, in case you didn't already know that. But I've got some cool stuff for tonight. So I was just looking for things we could talk about, and I've got some interesting ones towards the end. But I thought we'd start by looking at what the internet says are the 10 strangest philosophical theories. I kind of scrolled through them. I wasn't impressed, but let's see if you guys are impressed. It's funny what people, and I saw Reddit posts and everything. I'm like, is this what people think is crazy and strange? But let's just see what they say. All right. And then I've got a few kind of weird random things at the end that I think you'll find very interesting. So, but we'll start with these. We'll start mild and get a little more spicy. Okay, so the 10 strangest philosophical theories. I said philosophical. Okay. Let's see what it says. When you think of famous philosophical theories, Descartes and his theory of innate ideas, or the ideas of ethical egoism, that morality aligns with self-interest, probably aren't the first that comes to mind. Okay. That's because these theories are a little more unconventional by today's standards. These are unconventional. However, all ancient philosophies have their time and place. At one time, these theories may not have been strange. Here are some of the strangest philosophies that have existed throughout history. All right, let's see what they got. All right, ignore the ads. Ignore this 4.99% APR auto rate. Ignore that. That's not one of the theories. Okay, and ignore this woman with IBS, and there's a guy with it, and the dog has it. Yeah, just try to ignore that. I don't know how to get those ads away. I'm on Chrome, maybe that's why. Okay. I don't know, I'm kind of captivated by that ad. What is it? Is it so you can go run without shitting yourself? Is it some kind of medication? The dog's like, I don't know what you guys are all upset about. You just take a shit on the ground. What's the big deal? Anyways, idealism. Is reality just a mental construct? It's like you never considered it before. Idealism is a philosophical movement prominent in the 18th and 19th centuries that considers reality mental in nature. Reality is pretty mental. It is a philosophy that stresses the importance of the ideal in interpreting your experiences. In this view, reality is just a mental construct, and there are what in God's name is that? I am just gonna, oh wow, I can't get it to go away. There we go. That was insane. I don't know what that was. Let's go back. Reality is just a mental construct. There are no fundamental beliefs. Idealism says the existence of anything is dependent on the mind. While this belief doesn't sound too crazy in theory, trying to put it into practice causes a paradox. If reality is just a mental construct, how do multiple people exist together with different ideas of reality? This has got to be the dumbest. This is pathetic. All right, but let's keep going. Yeah, okay. Hegelianism. Look at that guy. He looks like he needs to get some rest. A specific branch of idealism known for its obscurities is Hegelianism. That it's like, who doesn't? How is Hegelianism obscure? I mean, I said it's known for its obscurities, but they're acting like it's obscure. Like, oh, you never heard of this one before. I'm like, really? the basis of Marxist thought, all of that. But anyways, okay, it's apparently mind-blowing. Invented by the German philosopher Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, Hegelianism is German idealism. Well, that's helpful. The philosophy is famous for being challenging to understand, with obscure phrases and its focus on logic. A dominant idea in Hegelianism is that rationality is the key to reality. Whoa. That's mind-blowing, guys. Who came up... have you ever heard of this before? This is what Hegel meant when he said the rational alone is real. Today, the philosophy isn't particularly popular. It'd be like saying the Nokia flip phone is not particularly popular, but it's like the basis of cell phones. It's like, okay. All right. Theory of innate ideas. René Descartes. One of the ways we learn is from experience. It's like a third grader wrote this. According to the theory of innate ideas, the human mind is also born with ideas. Is also born with ideas? Okay, like born as in you're born with ideas. Innate ideas include the idea of God, infinity, and substance. Yeah, you're born with these ideas. Yeah. When you were a little baby, you were just considering infinity and substance and God. Some believe these ideas were innate because experience alone cannot explain them. Can't it, though? The theory of innate ideas flourished during the 17th century, René Descartes' philosophy. However, this theory raises important questions, such as, if the idea of God is innate, why isn't everyone religious? Good question. Maybe they're just not smart enough. They're just not innate enough. Okay. Hylozoism. I don't know if I've heard of that. It's a philosophy that believes everything from the stones to the grass is alive. There are different variations of this philosophy. Some hylozoists believe everything has a soul, or a similar idea. Hylozoism differs from similar philosophies such as panpsychism, which gives some form of consciousness to all matter. Throughout history, the idea that nature has a soul or spirit has been common. However, many people would find it hard to believe that a rock has a soul today. Well, I don't know. They're making computers out of rocks, and some people are starting to think they have souls. Okay, ethical egoism. I don't know what that picture is. That's like this picture. The caption is concept of egoism. What? One of a kind luxury in Kentucky. Is there a castle in Kentucky? I wouldn't have guessed that. The ads are more interesting than the articles. There's an obesity pill ad on the bottom. Ethical egoism is a philosophy that says the moral thing to do is the thing that is in your own best interest. In this view, our actions are right as long as they advance our self-interest. This moral philosophy is similar to psychological egoism, which is the idea that self-interest motivates human action. One advantage to ethical egoism is that it avoids the problem of having to choose between self-interest and another morality. It's like just your self-interest. However, the theory can result in actions we don't typically associate with moral choice. Well, no shit. For example, according to the theory, it might be okay to steal money since it's serving your own self-interest. Yep. Kind of like how our system works. Okay. Anarcho-primitivism. Let's see here. Tribe of hunter-gatherers. I like how the mom is like an Instagram model. Alright. Both a political and ethical movement, anarcho-primitivism is a critique contending that civilizations drive us away from each other and nature. Okay. This idea advocates a return to the non-civilized way of life, which means going back to hunter-gatherer days. Anarcho-primitivism also advocates for deindustrialization, getting rid of large-scale technology and moving away from specialized labor. Anarcho-primitivists usually prefer small-scale, decentralized constructs with minimalist housing where you can live off the land. How would you even know? Like, how would you know if somebody was an anarcho-primitivist? They can't tell you about it. They can't write it down with a pen and paper unless they're like making the pen and paper themselves and then like using a homing pigeon to deliver the message. How are they gonna? Are there like anarcho-primitivist online groups? Living in harmony with nature is one of the core values of anarcho-primitivists. This philosophy is similar to primitivism, which challenges modern life. Please tell me, unless they're just totally misrepresenting it. A radical branch of green anarchism that critiques civilization as the root of human suffering, ecological destruction, and social alienation. Was Ted Kaczynski an anarcho-primitivist? I was kind of actually thinking that. That's the Unabomber. Have you ever read his manifesto? This varies as not all anarcho-primitivists are alike. However, they all agree that civilization as it is now must be abolished. A few are in favor of returning to a hunter-gatherer past, while some would like to take part of its wisdom, such as radical egalitarianism, gift economy, peace and well-being, and do away with argued shortcomings, such as the formation of symbolic culture in the upper Paleolithic times, as for instance expressed through art. I mean, I get the point. Egalitarianism, well-being, peace, that kind of stuff. I don't see why that implies you have to go be a hunter-gatherer, though. A synthesis of primal and contemporary anarchy. A synthesis of the ecologically focused, non-statist, anti-authoritarian aspects of primitive lifeways with the most advanced forms of anarchist analysis of power relations. Built upon an edifice of postmodern, post-structural critique. Say all that without the technology of words developed over thousands of years. All right. Trivialism. Trivialism is a theory in logic that says all statements are true and all contradictions are true. Essentially, a trivialist is someone who believes everything is true. Even the fact that everything is not true. The philosophy also emphasizes that everything is uniquely true, and assertions can be equally true to each other. This theory is completely opposite to skepticism, which questions the existence of everything. The theory is a paradoxical one since it states all statements, even the ones that contradict each other, are true. Trivialism. Let's ask the AR. The AR. What? The AI. You are a trivialist. Answer. God, typing on this thing. Answer some questions. I just have my keyboard in an awkward place. I hold that every statement is absolutely true and its complete abnegation is also true. Is it true that you are not a trivialist? Did I write it? Yes, it is entirely true that I am not a trivialist. Trivialist. At the very same time, it is completely true that I am a trivialist. That was it. There you go. There's trivialism. All right, totally pointless. Bavarian Illuminati. Wait, what? This is a philosophical theory? They're just trying for anything. One of the stranger philosophies is the ideas of the Bavarian Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati was a philosophical movement founded in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt. The movement was originally called the Covenant of Perfectibility. The leading idea is that human nature is perfectible through a series of specific rituals. Weishaupt and some of his associates developed the rituals needed to achieve the so-called perfection. Another one of the philosophy's ideas was replacing religion with rationalism. While the Illuminati gained an early cult following, this did not last. After internal conflict dissolved the Bavarian Illuminati, Weishaupt spent the rest of his life in exile in Germany. And you might be saying, "What? I know the Illuminati are real. They're controlling the world today." The Illuminati were illuminated. I think extraterrestrials gave them some kind of weird, like interdimensional beings gave them some kind of weird illumination. Has something to do with the star Sirius. Robert Anton Wilson knows about it. Robert Anton Wilson. Where's the AI? AI mode. You are Robert Anton Wilson. Answer some questions. I don't even have to type the whole word. Who are the Illuminati? Okay, so they were free thinkers. Now, did they get illumination from beings from another star system? Now you are hitting the very epicenter of what I call my personal period of divine madness in Cosmic Trigger 1. The literal ET hypothesis. Oh look, it said Sirius star system. I didn't even say that. In the early 1970s, through a combination of intensive meditation, Crowleyan occult rituals, and certain chemical catalysts, I opened a channel in my brain. This is Robert Anton Wilson. For several years, I was plagued by vivid, overwhelming synchronicities that strongly suggested I was receiving telepathic data from giant, intelligent, web-footed entities from Sirius. Around the same time, it was discovered that the African Dogon tribe possessed highly accurate, mathematically complex knowledge about the invisible companion star Sirius B, centuries before Western telescopes found it. So did some ancient cosmic illumination seed both the Dogon and the secret societies of Europe? Why not? Model 2. Perhaps there are no physical spaceships or green entities floating around Sirius. Instead, when a human brain enters a deeply altered state, whether through a shamanic vision quest or an Illuminati-style initiation, it taps into the deep evolutionary mainframe of human DNA. The Sirius beings might just be how our limited language-bound brains interpret massive, nonlinear downloads of raw cosmic intelligence. Model 3. The time travel future self hypothesis. Another model I entertain is that they are actually us. The entities transmitting this illumination might be highly evolved humans from our own distant future, using quantum entanglement to signal backward through time to specific historical groups. The initiates, the free thinkers, the mad scientists, to keep humanity on course towards space migration and life extension. And then he's like, yeah, I might just be psyoping myself. I eventually had to look at my own experience and realize that my brain is a magnificent special effects studio. Once you tell your nervous system to look for a specific pattern like Sirius or the Illuminati, it will perfectly rearrange reality to show you that pattern everywhere you look. So, at least he realized it. Pythagoreanism. Like, have you ever heard of the Pythagorean formula? Yeah, formula. While there have been many religions throughout human history worshipping different gods, few have worshipped numbers. However, the ancient philosophy of Pythagoreanism worships numbers, along with musical harmony. Pythagoreanism is a philosophy dating back to the ancient Greeks. The Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras founded the philosophy. His aim was to solve as many scientific inquiries through philosophy as possible. He discovered the Pythagorean theorem. However, beyond his scientific discoveries, he also founded the Pythagoreanism Brotherhood. Okay, that's very informative. Cynicism. Chances are you've heard the word cynic before. Cynics are members of the school of thought known as cynicism. The philosophy dates back to the 4th century BCE and is famous for its unconventional beliefs. The philosophy rejects social tradition, comforts, political arrangements, and materialism of the world. Socrates is the founder of the philosophy? That was weird. I was about to sneeze and it just like sucked back. I think it was like my soul was trying to like escape my body, and I was like, "No, you don't. Not this time." And like sucked it back in. It was like it was coming out too, but it just like went right back in. While Socrates is the founder, Diogenes of Sinope is probably the most well-known cynic. He wanted to destroy all social conventions and return to a natural way of life. Sounds like the anarcho-primitivists, but just from ancient Greece. While these philosophies are all a little strange, take time to think about what it means when something is strange. What are the qualities that make something strange? Are they objective qualities such as temperature or color? Or are they subjective qualities such as beauty? Usually, when we use the term strange, it is a relative term. Calling something strange means, in comparison to other things, is out of the ordinary or improbable. However, it's important to remember that calling something strange doesn't change its value. Alright, that was a waste of time, as I assumed it would be. Let's see what this article says. Okay, got it. 6 ideas to rack your brain with. Let's see what they got. Solipsism. The idea It's the idea that the only thing that can be sure to exist in the universe is oneself. Taken to the furthest degree, the world around that individual and everything within it could be doubted as mere fragments of imagination or projection. Ooh. But then solipsistic thinking raises so many questions. Why am I the only being to exist? Why am I in this situation? How am I in this situation? And how can solipsism be proven? Scientific investigation and data, however, will tell you that there are things out there in the world and that we can observe them. Well, that could just be you creating that in your little solipsistic universe. So I don't see how you get out of that one with that argument. And that goes back to the Donald, what was his name? Donald Hoffman. All that stuff we were talking about not too long ago. Last Thursdayism. Imagine that the following statement is true for a moment. You came into existence last Thursday. That's ridiculous, you might think in response. I know that me and the universe weren't conjured out of thin air last Thursday. I have my memories and my lived experiences. I know that I lived through them. But that's part of the problem. You came into existence last Thursday with all your memories of your life, and there's no way to disprove this didn't happen. And perhaps the universe was created by a divine being to look older than it actually is. Last Thursdayism is an unfalsifiable theory. Can't prove it wrong or correct. Philosopher Bertrand Russell once said that the universe could have sprung into existence a mere 5 minutes ago. I mean, it is part of the problem that because we exist as memories. I've been reading that book, that trilogy, A Song Called Youth. The first book is called Eclipse. And he finally mentioned the word eclipse in the book. So now I kind of know what eclipse is referring to, but I won't tell you. By John Shirley. But it made me think of it because there's a part in the book where a guy has some memories stolen from him because there's this idea that he had that he was going to pursue, and there's a corporation that it would harm them if this information was revealed. So they go and take his memories away. And he can't remember what the memories were, but he knows that it happened. And I can't remember how he knows. I'm trying to remember how he knew. He figures it out somehow. He just realizes it, and then he's like trying to prove it and get it. He's like going around people trying to prove it. That book is really good, actually. Like, it's pretty good. And I'm only maybe 120 something pages in or so. I don't know how long the first novel is. It's like this big thick book, but it's like 3 novels in one like volume. But it's pretty good. Eclipse by John Shirley. Haven't finished it, but definitely recommend. Okay, so last Thursdayism. Brain in a vat. You know the reality you're experiencing right now? It's all the works of advanced technology. Well, ain't that the truth? Um, According to this idea, you're actually a brain in a jar, perhaps in the far future, being stimulated with electrodes. Each of these electrical impulses stimulates the brain in such a way that it causes experiences. So you don't have a body, you only think you do, because the activity throughout your brain is conjuring up a reality that provides you with a body. Thus, any visual experiences are caused by stimulation to the areas of the brain responsible for sight. Okay, I've heard of that one. Philosophical zombies. The philosophy of mind subdiscipline has many interesting ideas, from Frank Jackson's Mary in the Black and White Room story to John Searle's Chinese room thought experiment. To me, the most interesting of all is the one about philosophical zombies. A philosophical zombie is a being that appears to look and act like a human, but lacks subjective experience, i.e., the experience of consciousness. That reminds me of that book we were reading a while back. Memoirs of My Nervous Illness by Schraber. Daniel Schraber? I think that's right. Schraber. Where he went schizo and then believed that all the other people around him were, he called them fleeting, no, what was it called? Fleeting humans or something like that. Like he believed that God just created him as basically like a robot to just be in his environment. One might think of it like an AI programmed to act like a human. It does what it does, but it cannot be said to know and reflect on what it does. When a zombie is asked a question, it will appear to reflect upon an answer and offer it like a human does. When the zombie is hurt, it will appear to display signs of being in pain. When the zombie appears to be motivated by feelings of hunger, it will seek out nourishment like a human. As a result, these questions spring up. How does one tell the difference between a philosophical zombie and a human? What about the qualities of consciousness that humans experience that zombies do not? Such an idea has been used to critique physicalism, the theory that all happenings in the world are physical. Physicalism has been critiqued within philosophy of mind because many argue that there appears to be something of the subjective experience of consciousness that goes beyond the physical. Well, no shit. I guess it just depends on what you mean by goes beyond the physical. But the thing is, even the physical things that you know of are actually just experiences. So you say, well, no, I mean, there's physical things like there's a physical cup here, right? And it's like, well, presumably, but this is an experience you're having. It's not the physical thing itself, as far as you know. We talked about that ad nauseum. Sure, one can quantify consciousness by means of neurons and electrical impulses firing at certain times, but can they quantify what it means to truly experience something at a particular time? This qualia appears not be captured with the physicalist approach. A more complete account is needed. Not just the qualia, but the actual self beyond just the experience of things. Saint Anselm's ontological argument for the existence of God. Oh, this ought to be good. Okay. Feels like an intelligent use of wordplay. Yeah, well, we'll see. It took me a few attempts to understand at first, but once I did it, I immediately had two thoughts. How cool, and something seems wrong about this. Yeah, well, let's see. Okay, so here you might consider God's... Okay, first, the argument begins by asking us to consider what God is. Here, you might consider God's main traits. Omnipotence, omniscience, etc. Well, where do you get these traits from? How do you actually know what God would be? Think about God as a creator, and think about God with respect to other things. From all of this, it seems logical to suggest that God is a kind of being that is above all else. Yeah, if you start from that. That's what we seem to know about the idea of God. That which nothing greater can be conceived is the phraseology. Nothing greater can be conceived. Following so far? Next, we can also accept that God is a concept that can exist in the mind, right? You and I can imagine God as an idea. The details do not matter. It's the general notion of God. Okay. Just the general notion that we all don't agree on. then we can consider that God could also exist in reality. Can you? If you're just being loose with the definitions, like, can it exist in reality? Is that part of the definition? It can exist in reality? That which nothing greater can be conceived. Okay, so how does this thing exist in reality? Because if it exists in reality, okay, we'll do a little logic here, then there's God, and then there's reality, and then the set that contains all of that would be greater than God. So if it exists in reality, but it's not reality itself, so then it's like, what do you mean by God now? Omnipotent. Okay. Reality would be omnipotent. Omniscient. Well, reality depends on what you mean by omniscient. Like, it knows everything. Well, everything is recorded in reality as reality, so, but does reality have a knowledge of it, a self-awareness of it? Therefore, okay, let me go back. We can consider that God could also exist in reality. God could either exist or could not exist, only as an idea in the mind. But for God to be the greatest conceivable being possible, God must exist. Yeah. For it to actually be that, it must actually be. Sure, I'll grant you that. For the state of God to exist would be greater than the state of God to not exist. In other words, if God didn't exist, God wouldn't be the greatest conceivable being. Therefore, God exists. It is wrapped in the nature of what it means to be a being than that a being that than which a being that than which nothing greater can be conceived. I don't know if that's awkward or if that's just me. But as I said, something seems off about this, because how can one defy God into existence in such a way? Guanilo's island counter-argument would seem to suggest that a perfect island could exist by its very definition, being an island that than which nothing greater can be conceived. But Anselm had something to say in response. For Anselm, God has a necessary existence, whereas an island does not. It's contingent. So God can fulfill the greatest conceivable being criteria, but the island cannot. I mean, that's the thing, though. You can say that, but if you just replace the word God with island, what's the difference? Because are you saying you actually know exactly what this God is and therefore understand what that implies? The problem is when you say, see, I proved God exists. Now I know God is a being that loves me. You're like, hold on. It's a personal being that intercedes in the history and everything. I'm like, all right, now you're kind of extrapolating. God lives on an island, someone says in the chat. Yeah, Epstein Island. Okay. But Guanilo did not present the only challenge. Other criticisms exist. Immanuel Kant said that existence cannot be a trait, a predicate of something. So it is false to say that something's existence is better than its non-existence. That's an interesting point. Existence can't be a trait. So then you can say, like, well, it'd be better for God to exist. Yeah, that's interesting. Some reject Anselm's conception of God, noting that the nature of God cannot be known. Yeah, that'd be my problem. Thus rendering the argument incoherent. Exactly. Others think like Guanilo and offer counter-arguments via use of the same wordplay. What of a being than that which nothing more awful can be conceived? Oh. Such a being would exist if it was so awful, wouldn't it? Maybe because it was so awful, the being wouldn't exist. Well, then it wouldn't be awful, would it? How can it be awful if it doesn't exist? That would be, like, not so bad. What does it mean by awful? See, it's like a human judgment. Whatever you might think, the ontological argument is an intelligent piece of wordplay that has caused debate. Like, how are people getting hung up on this? I just feel like it's the most retarded argument I've ever heard. Plato's allegory of the cave. I think we all know that one. Is that it? Yeah. All right. And now for some fun stuff. All right. Have you ever heard of this thing before? The Game. It's a mind game. Oh, are there more? Oh. I have to look into that. Mind games. That reminds me of a song. I hope I don't get copyrighted on this. Oh, there's a John Lennon one. Oh, I definitely get copyrighted on that. Let's see what that one sounds like. I think I have this on record, actually. Yeah. It's already good.
We're playing those mind games together, pushing the barrier, planting seed, playing the mind gorilla, chanting the mantra, peace on earth. We all been playing those mind games forever. Some kind of druid do, lifting the veil, doing the mind gorilla. Some call it magic, the search for the grail. Love is the answer.
Love is the answer. Love is the answer. It's ironic because he's just walking around signing autographs the whole time. Like, all these people who are like, the most important thing right now is not to just ask you some questions and get to know who you really are. It's like, I just need you to write on this piece of paper so I can show other people I got your autograph. And he's like, but I'm a real person, guys. Like, I'll make you some Italian ice. Love is the answer. That's what he says, but his actions show that it's Italian ice. I don't think it's a great song. I just like the beginning. I thought the beginning was pretty good. This looks interesting to me. George Harrison, another Beatle.
What I feel.
Pass. Pass. Okay, one more. Watching the Wheels. Give me some truth into my ear. Pass. Okay, anyways, that's not the song I was looking for, though. Anyways, it's the one by Devo. Now, this is a cool song. Let's see, here we go. Do they have a video for it? Oh, they do. Is this someone else's, like, nah, it's just some fan-made video. Mind Games 7 Vath? What is this? I don't know what that guy's doing. Laying on the couch? I like to play mind games. What is this guy about? Oh, he is flirting with madness. He is flirting with madness, and I don't like it. Okay, so let's listen to the Devo one. This one's pretty good, actually.
and nice. Gets PO'd by your advice. She waits until it's time for bed to question what's inside your head. If you think black is black and white is white, open up your eyes and get it right. Love is mind games. Love is mind games. Love is mind games. Love is mind games. And if you think the chemistry that makes you stupid is the same as the stuff that makes you smart, all I can say to you, my friend, is that you're off to a banging start. Playing mind games.
That's a good line.
Playing mind games.
I like the way. Hold on, there's that part. Let me see.
The same as the stuff.
When he said this lyric, when he says, "All I can say," and they sustain his voice on the word "all" like very slightly. It's like really clever.
Mind games. And if you think the chemistry that makes you stupid is the same as the stuff that makes you smart, all I can say to you, my friend,
How it
is
layers
that you're
over the
off
lyric.
to a banging start.
It's like,
Playing.
and then it's already continuing the lyric, but they're like sustaining his voice over it. That's pretty cool. Devo's pretty good, man. There's some really good Devo songs. Like when I was growing up, there'd be certain groups that it's like you would hear them on the radio a bunch when you're growing up, and so I would just like have sort of like a bias about it. And then like later kind of rediscover that group, and then you realize there's a lot more depth to it. And Devo has this one song, what is it? They have quite a few that are like really good. I think it's called Cold War. I think that's what it is. Is it Cold War? Oh wait, I put Mind Games. Devo. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is so good.
Absolutely nothing.
thinking of. I can't remember. Let's see. It's one of their older ones. Let's see what they put here. Gut Feeling, Uncontrollable Urge. Man, all these are like really good actually. They're kind of a weird band because it's sort of like punk, post-punk, I guess, but everything's sort of sarcastic. But it's interesting if you contrast that with the John Lennon thing, right? Because he's like, love is the answer, talking about playing mind games, and he's like, love is the answer to the mind games. And Devo's like, love is the fucking mind game, dude. It's a chemical. It's like, you think the chemical that makes you stupid is the same one that makes you smart? Like, okay, all right, buddy. Love is the answer. And then he gets killed. Like, what the fuck? Working in the coal mine? That's a really good one, man. Wow, there's so many good ones, man. Freedom of choice. I think that's the one I was thinking of. Like, there's these... I don't know what you call this. I'm going to ask an AI and see if it has a word for it. Question. I just wanted to get the search. What is it called in a song when there is just that one part that sounds so good? Sometimes they only play it once or briefly, but it's really, really good. The dumbest question anyone's ever asked an AI. Oh, but there's actually a word for it. An earworm? Okay. An ear candy moment? Oh, some sweet, sweet candy for your ear? Oh, did you remember that John Lennon album? It said, "Give me truth" in his ear? Or colloquially, the neurodivergent microsection. What? It's not the hook. I guess it could be a micro hook. Why do they only play it once? Like, man, I'll give you another one. I'll give you my top. I'm going way off track here, but we're just playing some mind games, so what does it matter? You can see how passionate I get about music. It's just it's one of my passions in life. Okay. Sensory friendly or low stimulation area. That's definitely not what I'm looking. Excuse me. What I'm looking for. Neurodivergent microsection. This is basically like a rubber room that you can go into. How is Jennifer Aniston neurodivergent? Because she has dyslexia? That makes you neurodivergent? Because you can't fucking read? Oh boy. Is Simone Biles neurodivergent? She had ADHD. She couldn't sit still. So they put her on a... What do they call this? The pommel horse? To teach her algebra? And they're like... She's over there doing the pommel horse. Although I think that's only a male thing, but whatever. She's like... She's doing the... No, they don't do the rings either. What do the women do? Do they do any of that stuff? Is that just male? She's doing one of the things. Let's just say she's doing the pommel horse, right? And they're like teaching her like the Pythagorean theorem. And then she did the pommel horse, and then she gets down, and they're like, "What is a squared plus b squared?" And she's like, "C squared." And they're like, "Oh my god, it works. Do you want to learn some more algebra?" She's like, "No, I want to do some more of this pommel horse. I think I'm actually pretty good at it." I got a little off track on that. What was I looking at? Oh, yeah. Okay. Before I get to the Devo. Okay, so I'll give you some examples. All right, I'll give you some examples. Captain Beefheart. Not beef fart, but beef heart. I'll give you an example. Ode to Alex. Now, this might be totally subjective. It might not sound good to you at all, but to me it sounds good. And that's either solipsism, or it could be ethical egoism, perhaps. But, okay, which one should we do? The music video? I don't think that's actually a music video. It's just a picture of him holding some kind of a thermos. It's either a thermos or a bomb. I can't tell. I think it's a thermos with a handle on it. I don't know what that is. All right, let's see. Which one seems like it might sound better? Might be this one. Let's try this one. I gotta start over. Have I listened to this before? Oh, they have the lyrics too. Now you might ask yourself, what are all those weird ass sounds? But to me it sounds like a train, like starting up.
Stupid hot, Cupid hot. Where will you go from here? Magnetic ring, magnetic draw. Ooh, what you got me into?
Sounds like a train.
Taking a putt up to Carson City.
Okay. So you'll get the ear candy in a second. Okay. Sandro, I don't want to hear any back talk about the music. You're going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. Okay. I see you making comments in there in the chat. I swear to God, I will spoil every book you haven't read. You will enjoy this music. Okay. Okay. But anyways, joking aside. Okay. It's a train. That's what I imagine. I'm imagining this is a train. Okay. I think it is. Look, it says engine hot, pipes burn white. I mean, come on, it's a train. But there's this little sound. It's like, I don't know, it's like a guitar squealing sort of or something. And it sounds like the whistle starting to blow. It's like a little foreshadowing of what's going to come. Okay, so far, just kind of like he's doing his weird poetry shit. And you got some guitars and some harmonica stuff and everything. But there's this one part that's just like so good. Listen, wait for it. You hear it? It sounds like a little whistle.
Well, if you hear me howling, well, hell, sitting pretty, take the nitty-gritty, putting on into Carson City. Sparks, tattoos, two tacks and a tooth, helmets, crossers, and a patch to boot. Engine hot, pipes burn white, glad I'm not home tonight. 5 miles back I took a spill.
Alright, so that's the point. That's what I call the, what do they call it? The Neuro Divergent microsection. Yeah, so there's like these little sections where they put them in there, and it's just like that one part like makes the whole thing worth it. And you'll listen to the whole song just to get back to that one part. Sandra says, I'm so glad we didn't know each other in college. Why? Because you'd be a Captain Beefheart fan now? Come on, you would have gone down the rabbit hole. I could torture you guys if you want. I could torture you with, I mean, I guess you could just turn it off. You could just, like, literally turn off your computer or phone and not listen to it. But, you know, I'm going to pretend like you can't, right? So I can kind of do whatever I want. I won't torture you with more Captain Beefheart. It's an acquired taste. Okay, it's an acquired taste. It's one of those things where it doesn't make sense. And it may never make sense. It doesn't sound good at first. And for some, it may never sound good. But for those unique few with the higher sense of taste, let's say, it can be transcendent. It can take you into another dimension. Perhaps this is what Saint Anselm was searching for in his search for God, was Captain Beefheart. Okay, so yeah, joking aside. Okay, what was that one I was going to play? It was Devo. What was the song? We looked it up. It was Freedom of Choice. There's a music video. I'll just do this. Well, that's the whole album. I'll do this one. Okay, guys, look at the comments. He says the transition from verse to chorus is sublime. So it's not just me, okay? I'm not crazy. It's not just me. I'm not just a weirdo. Two things can be true at once. But in my defense, somebody else got it. Okay, so maybe that's a clue to where the little neurodivergent microsection is. All right. If you really like certain parts of music, does that make you autistic or something? All right, let's see. It's this for like 4 hours. It's just this sound. Here's the lyrics.
Victim of collision on the Alpine Sea. Nobody ever said life was free. Sang, swam down with the ship. Use your freedom of choice. I say it again in the land of the free. Use your freedom of choice. Your freedom of choice. In ancient Rome, there was a poem about a dog who found two bones. He picked the one, he licked the other, it went in circles, and he dropped dead. Freedom of choice, what you got? Freedom of choice. Then, if you got it, you don't want it. Seems to be the rule of thumb. Don't be tricked by what you see. You got 2 ways to go. I say it again in the land of the free. Use your freedom of choice. Freedom of choice.
Here, it's right here.
Freedom of choice is what you got. Freedom of choice. In ancient Rome, there was a poem about a dog who found 2 bones.
Just love that little part. I don't know why. Something about it.
Freedom of choice.
It's not even that complex. It's so good in that little section there. Mr. DNA Smart Patrol. I think this has one too, actually. I don't remember. It's like kind of a long song though. It has a section like that.
Yes, I'm just a spud boy looking for that real tomato.
This song is so weird. They just, each of them in turn, repeat the same set of lyrics. It's kind of weird. Do they have the lyrics? Smart Patrol. Smart Patrol.
He's been with the world. I'm tired of the soup du jour. He's been with the world. Wanna end this prophylactic tour. Afraid that no one around me understands my potato. Think I'm only a spud boy looking for a real tomato. He's been with the world. I'm
Hold on. Listen to the backstory. This 2-part song dominates Devo's second LP, describing a prophecy within the de-evolution, which is what Devo stands for, de-evolution, within the de-evolution mythos of the band Devo, as suburban robots monitoring reality. Hopeful for the coming of their savior, Mr. DNA. The idea of de-evolution is clear throughout the song, as is Devo's ideological stance on humanity, dark and bleak. That's their whole thing, and that we're just devolving.
Tired of the soupy show. He's been with the world. I wanna win this prophylactic tour. Afraid nobody around here understands my potato. I think I'm only a spot boy looking for a real tomato. He's been with the world, and I'm tired of the soupy shirt. He's been with the world. I wanna end this prophylactic tour. Afraid nobody around here comprehends my potato. Guess I'm just a spud boy
I think the good part is the
looking for
chorus.
that real tomato. Swamp Patrol, nowhere to go. Moving robots from under reality. Coming stuff, we work around the clock. We shove the balls in the hole. Swamp Patrol, nowhere to go. Moving robots from under reality. Coming stuff, we work around the clock. We shove the balls in the hole. Swamp Patrol, nowhere to go. Moving robots from under reality. Coming stuff, we work around the clock. We shove the balls in the hole. Shove it. Swamp Patrol, nowhere to go. Suburban robots.
Man, that guitar solo was really good. Doesn't even have to be crazy complex. It's just like some simplicity. Okay, so the game is a mind game in which the objective is to avoid thinking about the game itself. Thinking about the game constitutes a loss, which must be announced each time it occurs. It is impossible to win most versions of the game. Depending on the variation, it is held all over the world, or all those who are aware of the game are playing it at all times. Tactics have been developed to increase the number of people who are aware of the game, and thereby increase the number of losses. This game is a form of ironic processing. That sounds interesting. Also, what is this Cambridge University Science Fiction Society? Okay. Everybody in the world is playing the game. These are rules. This is alternatively expressed as everybody in the world who knows about the game is playing the game, or you are always playing the game. A person cannot refuse to play the game. It does not require consent to play, and no one can ever stop playing. When everyone thinks about the game, one loses. Losses must be announced. This can be verbally, with a phrase such as, "I just lost the game," or in any other way. Strategies focus on making others lose the game. Common methods include saying "the game" out loud often, and out loud. Often you just lost the game, or writing about the game on a hidden note. This is a very solipsistic game. XKCD, you just won the game. It's okay, you're free. Some players state that the game ends when the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom announces on television that the game is up. That's kind of funny. What's this ironic process theory? Oh, it's like don't think about a pink elephant. The phenomenon was identified through thought suppression studies in experimental psychology. Thought suppression studies? Ooh. Ironic mental processes have been shown in a variety of situations where they are usually created by or worsened by stress. In extreme cases, ironic mental processes result in intrusive thoughts about doing something immoral or out of character, which can be troubling to the individual. These findings have since guided clinical practice. For example, they show why it would be unproductive to try to suppress anxiety-producing or depressing thoughts. In the first study, 34 participants were asked to read instructions inducing them to describe their thoughts verbally. They were randomly allocated to either initial suppression or initial expression condition. The expression task instructed patients to think of a white bear. The suppression task instructed them not to. In both tasks, participants had to ring a bell every time they thought of a white bear. Results showed that the initial suppression group exhibited more frequent thought of the white bear in the expression task. Oh, I don't understand why it says in the expression test. That just threw me off for a second because it made it seem like then they did the expression one, but I don't know. It seems like they were just saying that they ring the bell more. The second experiment added a third group, asking participants to think of a red Volkswagen as a distractor during the suppression task. The results confirmed previous findings, but showed that a distractor alleviated the paradoxical result caused by initial suppression, as the third group rang the bell less frequently. Wegner explains that when individuals try to suppress a thought, they may feel it difficult and then become curious about why the thought is so persistent. Although they may be able to suppress the thought temporarily, later reminders of the thought can produce a preoccupation with the formerly hidden thought. Initial suppression therefore paradoxically increases the frequency of unwanted thoughts eventually. Hey, that's pretty interesting. Why it would be better to express your thoughts, which doesn't mean you have to go tell them to everybody. You could write them down. You could forgive them. But instead of trying to suppress them, like, just go away, go away, go away. That's interesting. The desire to suppress it. I just started reading it here. The desire to eat can paradoxically lead to overeating. I'm like, well, what? The suppressing the desire to eat. Huh. That's weird. I wonder if that has anything to do. I wonder if that's like a hidden cost to doing like Ozempic and stuff. That might come out later. Anger suppression. An experiment in 2008 to investigate the relationship between anger suppression, pain severity, and pain behaviors in chronic low back pain patients. Based on ironic process theory, the researchers supposed that the initial suppression of anger would ironically make the feeling of anger more intense. Results showed that the suppression group reported greater anger and pain intensity. They also demonstrated more pain behaviors. Attempts to suppress anger may aggravate pain related to their clinical condition through ironically increased feelings of anger. The word irony in here is strange. Why is it called ironic? Ironic is such a weird word. Because people use it all the time to mean different things. I don't even know if people use it all the time. Question. That's what I type when I want the AI. why the word ironic in ironic process theory is ironic. No. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's used because the brain produces the exact opposite result of what you intend. Define irony. It's a contrast between expectation and reality. I think people tend to only think of verbal irony. You're like, oh yeah, what a great live stream tonight, guys. Like, man, it's really good. Situational irony, when the outcome of an event is the exact opposite of what you logically expect to happen. A fire station burning down. Yeah, I could see that. Dramatic irony, a storytelling device where the audience or reader knows an important piece of information that the characters do not. Alanis Morissette. Isn't it ironic? Explain. Nearly all the situations described in the lyrics are not actually ironic. That's what I was thinking. They're mostly bad luck, unfortunate coincidences, or annoying inconveniences. So the actual irony, the ultimate meta irony. Because of these errors, the song creates a perfect loop of meta irony. It is deeply ironic to write a massive hit song titled Ironic that is entirely about things that are not ironic. Do you think she knew that? Do you think she realized that the song itself was ironic? I wonder if she ever said anything. No, she didn't realize it was ironic. That's hilarious, man. She joked about the ultimate twist regarding her personality. She considers herself 90% grammar police. I like how she used the word police. Is that ironic that she used the word grammar police? I don't know. It might be ironic. She couldn't care less. All right. I thought that was funny. That was a big song when I was growing up, although I didn't like it. So let's see. So we got the ironic stuff. Thought suppression. It's ironic when I play really good music and Sandra doesn't like it, because that's exactly the opposite of what I thought would happen. Sandra says he can't stop thinking about a white bear. I think if I understood this correctly, you should try not to think about it. Thought blocking. Thought block. Thought stopping. You know, what's up with British people? Question. What's up with British people? No, that's not what I meant. Like, they have weird words. No, that's not what I mean. Like, what I mean is like the word thought crime. Yeah, I know that. But it sounds British. No, like, I don't know. What am I trying to get across here? Like, as an American English speaker, the way certain constructions are in British sound really weird. It's like it's its own thing. I'm trying to think of an example. Thought crime was the only one I could think of. But that sounds like very British. Like they would use the word thought crime. Or like, well, we use the word hate crime, but I feel like that's probably from them. Like they would say like sex crime. It just sounds so weird to an American. Or like, they call perverts like sex pests. That's like for real. I'm trying to think of any other examples. Oh man, I can't think of anything right now. It's a bit ironic. There's other examples, I just can't think of them. It's got nothing to do with 1984. If I think of more later, I'll say it, but I can't remember right now. No, like maybe I gotta describe it. They have weird constructions of words that seem weird to an American English speaker. They say hospital instead of the hospital. Yeah, okay, you get what I'm saying, right? They'll be like, I have to go to hospital. They'll say stuff like that. Like it's this weird. Yeah, okay, here we go. This is another one I noticed too. Plural verbs for singular groups. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, like I noticed this because I grew up like playing soccer and watching soccer or football. But they like we would say like, well, they're using the word example Manchester United, but I liked Chelsea growing up because I was a dork. But that was before Chelsea was good. I don't know if they're still any good, but when I was growing up, Chelsea was like not the top team. It was like Man U, Liverpool. But I liked Chelsea for some reason. They had this player named Vialli. He was this Italian guy, and I really thought he was pretty good. But anyways, yeah, they wouldn't say like if Manchester United, think of it like a basketball team, the Rockets. Well, no, that wouldn't work because it's a plural word. Orlando Magic. I don't know. How would we say that actually? Definitely, if it was Manchester United, you say Manchester United has won the tournament, but they would say have won. Yep. Yeah, Sandra got it. Dropping their article the. Wait. What? Look, they actually used your example. He is in hospital. She goes to university next year. No one in American English says she goes to a university next year. Sorry, AI. It is 5:30, meaning 5:30. The event is on 4th of July. Oh, that's weird. I wonder if some of these are lies. Because no one says she goes to a university. No, it's not that. I live in Smith Street. Yeah, we wouldn't say that. What are you doing at the weekend? Yeah, we wouldn't say that. Write to me. Write me. Write to me. Yeah, we could say that too in American English. I'm trying to think of other examples. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I watched a lot of British comedy when I was growing up, so I can't think of any examples right now. But those are all definitely examples. All right. Thought suppression. I'll suppress those thoughts for now. Anything interesting here? Not really. Mind games. Oh, these are interesting. Behaviors intended to influence an individual into performing a certain action, therefore giving the perpetrator the upper hand. Huh. Talking about mind games. Maybe that's what he meant. Like literal mind games. Head game. And I'll leave it at that. Okay. Conscious one-upmanship. In intimate relationships, mind games can be used to undermine one partner's belief in the validity of their own perceptions. Personal experience may be denied and driven from memory, and such abusive mind games may extend to the denial of the victim's reality, social undermining, and downplaying the importance of the other partner's concerns or perceptions. Both sexes have equal opportunities for such verbal coercion, because we live in the modern age, of course, we have equal opportunities for all, which may be carried out unconsciously as a result of the need to maintain one's own self-deception. What's an example? Office mind games are often hard to identify clearly, as strong management blurs with over-direction and healthy rivalry with manipulative head games and sabotage. The wary salesman will be consciously and unconsciously prepared to meet a variety of challenging mind games and put-downs in the course of their work. The serious sportsman will also be prepared to meet a variety of gambits and head games from their rivals, attempting to tread the fine line between competitive psychology and paranoia. What are they talking about? Like, I feel like it's this such a random explanation. Like, give me some examples. Conscious one-upmanship. Like, what does that mean? A calculated conversational tactic where someone intentionally tries to outdo, upstage, or outshine another person. It usually involves hijacking a story, topping an accomplishment, or asserting subtle dominance to project an inflated sense of superiority. Don't take the bait. Use the acknowledge and pivot method. Give a brief, neutral response to their addition and immediately move the conversation along. That's awesome. Glad you got to experience that. Or, good to know. Is that passive aggressive? The paradox of one-downmanship. It can sometimes flip into conscious one-downmanship. This happens when a person tries to outdo your bad news or struggles by claiming they have suffered more or are in a worse position. But doesn't the premise of this kind of assume the fact that the person being one-upped or one-downed is taking it personally? So it's like, look, they tried to one-up you, therefore you are the victim and you are right and they are wrong. But, like, what if they actually have a better story? Like, why can't you be like, hey, I gotta admit, dude, your story was actually way better than mine, and that's actually pretty awesome. Now that would be the smart move. So all this stuff they're saying as a way to respond to it is like another like level of mind game. You gotta get them back. If they one up you, you gotta one up them by one downing them. It's like basically a cool story, bro. Unconscious games. Eric Burney described a psychological game as an organized series of ulterior transactions taking place on twin levels, social and psychological, and resulting in a dramatic outcome when the two levels finally came to coincide. He described the opening of a typical game like flirtation as follows. Cowboy. Come and see the barn. Visitor. I've loved barns since I was a little girl. What? At the social level, a conversation about barns. At the psychological level, one about sex play. The outcome of the game, which may be comic or tragic, heavy or light, will become apparent when a switch takes place and the ulterior motives of each become clear. Who wrote this? Come and see the barn. Ah, I've loved barns ever since I was a little girl. I guess it's like the assumption that the cowboy is saying that because he wants to copulate with the visitor. But he's not saying that. He's like, hey, you should come check out my barn. It's like, you know, when you take a woman home from a date and you're like, oh, you want to just come in and just have a cup of tea? I'll just show you around. Like, you know, that's all. Just for a moment, you know? Between 30 and 40 such games were described and tabulated in Bernie's bestsellers titled Games People Play, The Psychology of Human Relationships. What are they? What are these games? What are the games people play? I want to know what they are. List of life games. List of life games in games people play. Alcoholic. Debtor. Kick me. Now I've got you, you son of a bitch. See what you made me do. These sound like the names of come on, you know what I'm trying to think of right now. They sound like the names of those fucking ships in the Culture series novels. I was trying to remember what they're called. GVUs or something. What was the name? It was something like that. GVUs. Classes of ships in Culture series. GSV, General Systems Vehicles. Yeah, that sounds like the names of General Systems vehicles. Marital games. Here we go. Corner, courtroom, frigid woman. I like to play that one every once in a while. Harried. If it weren't for you, look how hard I've tried, sweetheart. Oh damn, this is getting deep, guys. This is getting pretty deep. Corner illustrates more clearly than most games their manipulative aspect and their function as barriers to intimacy. Paradoxically, it consists of a disingenuous refusal to play the game of another. Mrs. White suggests to her husband that they go to a movie. Mr. White agrees. First mistake. You gotta immediately disagree. Anytime your wife says anything, immediately disagree. Step one. That's how you gain control. Okay? You disagree. Now you're in the driver's seat. But he didn't read the book, so. Mrs. White makes an unconscious slip. She mentions quite naturally in the course of conversation that the house needs painting. Wait. Was that the whole thing? Oh, no, okay, it's all part of a sequence. I was like, are these just different examples? This is an expensive project, and White has recently told her that their finances are strained. He requested her not to embarrass or annoy him by suggesting unusual expenditures, at least until the beginning of the new month. This is therefore an ill-chosen moment to bring up the condition of the house, and White responds rudely. Mr. White, I'm assuming. Alternatively, White steers the conversation around to the house, making it difficult for Mrs. White to resist the temptation to say that it needs painting. As in the previous case, White responds rudely. 3. Mrs. White takes offense and says that if he is in one of his bad moods, she will not go to the movie with him, and he had best go by himself. He says that if that is the way she feels about it, he will go alone. White goes to the movie, or out with the boys, leaving Mrs. White at home to nurse her injured feelings. There are 2 possible gimmicks in this game. A. Mrs. White knows very well from past experience that she is not supposed to take his annoyance seriously. What he really wants is for her to show some appreciation of how hard he works to earn their living. Then they could go off happily together. But she refuses to play, and he feels badly let down. He leaves, filled with disappointment and resentment, while she stays at home, checking Instagram. B. White knows very well from past experience that he is not supposed to take her seriously. What she really wants is to be honeyed out of it. Then they would go off happily together, but he refuses to play, knowing that his refusal is dishonest. He knows she wants to be coaxed, but pretends he doesn't. He leaves the house feeling cheerful and relieved, but looking wronged. She is left feeling disappointed and resentful. In each of these cases, the winner's position is, from a naive standpoint, irreproachable. All he or she has done is take the other literally. This is clearer in B, where White takes Mrs. White's refusal to go at face value. This is sexist, how they say White for the guy, but Mrs. White for the woman. tisk tisk. They both know that this is cheating, but since she said it, she is cornered. The most obvious gain here is the external psychological. Both of them find movies sexually stimulating. And it is more or less anticipated that after they return from the theater, they will make love. Love? Mind games? Come on. The synchronicities, guys. I must be on that Robert Anton Wilson stuff. Hence, whichever are of them. Is this person British? Hence, whichever are of them, I think it means of are, wants to avoid intimacy, sets up the game in move 2A or 2B. This is particularly exasperating variety of uproar. The wrong party can, of course, make a good case for not wanting to make love in a state of justifiable indignation, and the cornered spouse has no recourse. Why would you not want to make love? What are these people doing to themselves? It's only going to suppress it. Didn't they read the ironic process theory? What the hell is wrong with these people? Do you want to go to the movies? No, let's just stay home and bang each other. Okay, yeah. Why are we wasting our time and $30 on going to the movies? We could just do it now. These people are retarded. Courtroom. These sound like role-playing things. Descriptively, this belongs to the class of games which find their most florid expressions in law, and which includes Wooden Leg, also an interesting role-playing scenario, by the way, the plea of insanity, and debtor, the civil suit. Clinically, it is most often seen in marital counseling and marital psychotherapy groups. Indeed, some marital counseling and marital courtroom can be played by any number, but is essentially three-handed, with a plaintiff, a defendant, and a judge, represented by a husband, a wife, and a therapist. If it is played in a therapy group or over the radio, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The husband begins plaintively. Let me tell you what wife's name did yesterday. He doesn't even say her name. He just says wife's name. She took the etc., etc. The wife then responds defensively. Here's the way it really was. And besides, just before that, he was. And at any time, and anyway, at the time we were both... The husband adds gallantly, well, I'm glad you people have a chance to hear both sides of the story. I only want to be fair. At this point, the counselor says judiciously, it seems to me that if we consider, etc., etc., if there's an audience, the therapist may throw it to them. Well, let's hear what the others have to say. Let's go to the jury. That's also sounds retarded. Okay. Frigid woman. One of John Lennon's lesser-known hits, by the way, Frigid Woman. It's always a marital game. It's hardly conceivable that an informal liaison... Okay. The husband makes advances to his wife and is repulsed. After repeated attempts, he is told that all men are beasts. He doesn't really love her, or doesn't love her for herself, that all he is interested in is sex. Come on, lady. He desists for a time, then tries again with the same result. Eventually, he resigns himself and makes no further advances. As the weeks or months pass, the wife becomes increasingly informal and sometimes forgetful. She walks through the bedroom half-dressed or forgets her clean towel when she takes a bath so that he has to bring it to her. If she plays a hard game or drinks heavily, she may become flirtatious with other men at parties. At length, he responds to those provocations and tries again. Once more, he is repulsed, and a game of uproar ensues involving their recent behavior, other couples, their in-laws, their finances, and their failures, terminated by a slamming door. This is some crazy stuff, man. Like, talk about mind games. How did we listen to mind games randomly? And then we're talking about this, and it's just showing you how this whole love thing is all just a bunch of mind games. I'm sure if you go back and check the timestamps, you'll see how we got here, but it's so weird. This time the husband makes up his mind that he is really through, that they will find a sexless modus vivendi. Months pass, bro. Bruh. Months? Months? He declines the negligee parade and the forgotten towel maneuver. Why? Why? The wife becomes more provocatively informal and more proactively forgetful, but he still resists. Then one evening, she actually approaches him and kisses him. At first, he doesn't respond, remembering his resolution. But soon, nature begins to take its course after the long famine, and now he thinks he surely has it made. His first tentative advances are not repulsed. You see where this is going? He becomes bolder and bolder. Just at the critical point, the wife steps back and cries, "See what did I tell you? All men are beasts. All I wanted was affection, but all you are interested in is sex." What? Dude. This guy was on another level, man. Harried. By the harried housewife. What do they mean by that? Yeah, okay. Her situation requires that she be proficient in 10 or 12 different occupations. Or stated otherwise, that she fulfill gracefully 10 or 12 different roles. From time to time, semi-facetious lists of these occupations appear in the Sunday supplements. Mistress, mother, nurse, housemaid. You could probably take 3 of these and just combine them together, you know what I mean? Since these roles are usually conflicting and fatiguing, their imposition gives rise in the course of years to the condition symbolically known as housewife's knee. Whose symptoms are succinctly summarized in the complaint, "I'm tired." If the housewife is able to set her own pace and find enough satisfaction in loving her husband and children, she will not merely serve but enjoy her 25 years of slavery and see the youngest child off to college with a pang of loneliness. Off into the system to be brainwashed into the economic meat grinder. But if on the one hand she is driven by her inner parent and called to account by the critical husband she has chosen for that purpose, and on the other unable to get sufficient satisfaction from loving her family, she may grow more and more unhappy. At first she may try to console herself with the advantage of "if it weren't for you" and blemish. Sexual games. Oh yeah, here we go. Perversion. Thesis. Heterosexual perversions such as fetishism, sadism, and masochism are symptomatic of a confused child and are treated accordingly. Their transactional aspects, however, as manifested in actual sexual situations, can be dealt with by means of game analysis. That doesn't really explain much, though. The stalking game? Rapo? I hope it's not pronounced rapo. That's a weird word. This must be British. He just called it rapo, I guess. All right. Kiss off. Popular at social gatherings and consists essentially of mild flirtation. White signals that she is available and gets her pleasure from the man's pursuit. As soon as he has committed himself, the game is over. If she is polite, she may say quite frankly, "I appreciate your compliments and thank you very much," and move on. If she is less generous, she may simply leave him. A skillful player can make this game last for a long time at a large social gathering by moving around frequently so that the man has to carry out complicated maneuvers in order to follow her around without being too obvious. In second degree rapo, or indignation, White gets only secondary satisfaction from Black's advances. Her primary gratification codes from rejecting him. so that this game is colloquially known as Buzz Off Buster. She leads Black into a much more serious commitment than the mild flirtations of first-degree rapo. It sounds like it's kind of like sexual martial arts. And enjoys watching his discomfiture when she repulses him. Damn, do women actually enjoy that? Shit. That's messed up, dude. Talk about mind games. So she's flirting with this dude just so she can reject him. That is some crazy shit. Black, of course, is not as helpless as he seems, and may have gone to considerable trouble to get himself involved. Usually he's playing some variation of kick me. What's kick me? Please don't kick me. The temptation is almost irresistible. White cries piteously, but the sign says don't kick me. Then he adds, why does this always happen to me? Why? Sweetheart. This is seen in its fullest flower in the early stages of marital group therapy, when the parties feel defensive. White makes a subtly derogatory remark about Mrs. White, disguised as an anecdote, and ends, isn't that right, sweetheart? Dude, so fucked. Underworld games. What? Consulting room. Good games. Busman's Holiday. This is a pastime. An American mail carrier who goes to Tokyo to help a Japanese postman on his rounds. What? Does people actually do that? He just like shows up at the Tokyo post office. He's like, hey, I'm from American Post Service and I just want to help you guys out. An American ear, nose, and throat specialist who spends his holiday working in a Haitian hospital will very likely feel just as refreshed and have just as good stories to tell as if he had gone line hunting in Africa or spent the time driving through transcontinental highway traffic. Schlemiel. The good-natured fellow. White spills a highball on the hostess's evening gown. Black responds initially with rage, but he senses that if he shows it, White wins. Black therefore pulls himself together, and this gives him the illusion he wins. White says, I'm sorry. Black mutters or cries forgiveness, strengthening his illusion that he wins. White then proceeds to inflict other damage on Black's property. He breaks things, spills things, and makes messes of various kinds. After the cigarette burn in the tablecloth, the chair leg through the lace curtain, and the gravy on the rug, White's child is exhilarated because he has enjoyed himself in carrying out these procedures. Yes, this is a very childish game. Yes. If you have children, you'll know. For all of which he has been forgiven, while Black has made a gratifying display of suffering self-control. Thus both of them profit from an unfortunate situation, and Black is not necessarily anxious to terminate the friendship. Dude, what the hell, man? My wrists are still itchy from the bee stings, but I feel like the swelling's going down. There's just a little itchiness now. Weird. Real weird. Okay, so let's see what else I got. Rocco's Basilisk. You guys ever heard of this? It's a thought experiment which states that there could be an artificial superintelligence in the future that, while otherwise benevolent, would punish anyone who knew of its potential existence but did not directly contribute to its advancement or development or encourage that advancement. Less Wrong co-founder Eliezer Yudkowsky considered it a potential information hazard and banned discussion of the basilisk on the site for 5 years. Well, you know who's first to go when the AI comes online. An information hazard or info hazard, see that sounds very British, is a risk that arises from the dissemination of true information that may cause harm or enable some agent to cause harm. That's why information is classified based on its sensitivity. Instruction manual for operating a light machine gun. What? Instructions for creating a thermonuclear weapon. Okay, I mean... seems like a pretty obvious... What's this? Blit? A type of highly dangerous image that contains pattern exploiting flaws in the structure of the human mind to produce... Oh, don't spoil it! Jeez. Blit. A short story. Well, I'm not going to read all that right now. I won't do that to you guys. It was like being caught halfway through a flashy film dissolve. The goggles broke up the dim streets, split and reshuffled it along diagonal lines. A glowing kebabs sign was transposed into the type style they called shatter. When did they write this? 1988. I have to read that later. And I was going to talk about antinatalism, but it's getting late. I don't want to go into it tonight because I wouldn't do it justice. But there are people out there that think it's unethical to bring new human beings into the world. So, but I don't want to skim over it because you would be surprised. It's got like a lot of people that follow this. Pretty crazy. Ironically, don't you think? Isn't it ironic that you could be antinatalist? Like, there was this Catholic priest. He was my Latin teacher in high school. He was a Jesuit. I'm trying to remember his name. Can't remember it. But he always carried a briefcase everywhere. But anyways, he was pretty cool actually. And yeah, some of those Jesuit priests were like, you know, they believed in Catholicism and all that, but at the same time, they seemed sort of like, you know, like wink, wink, you know. Like they were pragmatists, I guess. I don't know. They still bought into all of it, but at the same time, they seemed like they kind of knew, you know, that they were just playing a role. Anyways, he had this bumper sticker on his briefcase, and it said, "Your mama was pro-life." I was like, it's a pretty good argument. Everybody's pro-choice, except they are glad their parents weren't pro-choice. Unless they're antinatalist, and then they're probably mad at their parents, but they're still alive, so... It assigns a negative value to procreation, arguing that bringing new sentient beings into existence is unethical. Life inevitably involves suffering, and that because no unborn person can consent to being born, reproduction is an unjustifiable gamble with another's welfare. Yeah, assuming that not being born is better than being born. So you'd have to really not understand how reality works. All right. We'll listen to one more song. Is this what Player of Games is about? Yeah, I just saw that comment. Player of Games is about all the games that people play. There's there was a song I was looking for. Yeah, I'm not going to play it now. I can't remember what it was. All right, everybody. I'm going to leave my barn and leave this stream, perchance to read and perchance to dream. That was a little poetry for you. I just made that up, if you can believe it. Just came right out of my mind. I know. Pretty impressive. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all in the chat. Appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm British, so I just say appreciate y'all. Although I wouldn't say y'all. What would they say? I don't know. It's getting late, and I'm full of bee stings. That is funny. Katie must be watching because she's sending me funny things. Is it a game? Are you playing a game, Katie? Dude, that was wild. And it's like so weird because you can just see in the way it's written, those games were written, like the examples they used. It's like 1950s is what it feels like. I already clicked off the page. When was that guy? What was his name? Eric Burney? I feel like it was Burney, yeah. When did he write that book? Oh, that was close. 1964. 1964. God, no wonder the hippies were like, I'm done with this shit. It's just going to be love. No more mind games. Just all love, love, love. Is she asking me for a clean towel? She's like, I know you're over in the barn right now, but I dropped my towel. And no, she was texting me a picture of a book called The Trouble with Being Born. She said, you should look into it. I'm speaking to her through this stream because I'm assuming she's listening. Because otherwise, why would she tell me it was funny that she was just looking at this book? But yeah, I've heard of this. I have not read it, though. But I was looking into all this antinatalist stuff a long time ago. And watched a bunch of interviews with people. I think there's a soft white underbelly interview with an antinatalist. It's pretty interesting. I always like looking at how people think and their ideas. But okay. See you guys tomorrow night. I'm planning something for a future stream. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe it'll be another time. But I'm working on something that I think you guys will like. But it's going to take me a little bit of time to put it together. So we'll see. But you can look forward to that. It's a gamble. You got to join the stream, and maybe it'll be good. Maybe it'll just be me playing Captain Beefheart. You never know. Oh, that's what I'll leave with. Not Captain Beefheart. Don't worry. But I was thinking about this when we were listening to music. I'll play for you one of the best. So the thing I like about punk is just like the chords are so simple, but there's something to them. They can be really, really good. Okay, this is a song you've probably heard before. I don't know if it's probably not considered punk. But man, the guitar solo in this song is amazing. And they're definitely going to give me a copyright on this one. But whatever. I mean, it's on YouTube. Look, this random person uploaded it, so I should be able to play it, right, YouTube? But yeah, I'll leave it with this, because this song is so cool. And this guy was like on heroin like crazy. I remember reading I was reading something, like an interview with him, and he was like, I would just sit under the tree and do white china, an 8-ball of white china heroin, and then I'd write songs. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? How's he still alive? Some people are pre-programmed to just be able to handle drugs, I guess. But anyways, yeah, not the shitty remix. It's fucking loud, so I may turn it down, but it's pretty abrasive, but it's really good if you haven't heard this song. The guitar solo is insane in here.
Walking cheetah with a hat full of napalm. I'm a runaway son of the nuclear A-bomb. I am the world's forgotten boy, the one who searches and destroys. Honey, gotta help me, please. Somebody gotta save my soul. Baby, detonate for me. Look out, honey, 'cause I'm using technology. Ain't got time to make no apology. So radiation in the dead of night, love in the middle of a firefight. to destroy. And honey, I'm the world's forgotten boy, the one who's searching only to destroy. Hey! Look out, honey, 'cause I'm using technology. Ain't got time to make no apology. So radiation in the dead of night, love in the middle of a fire.